Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. You know who it is. I said I wasn't going to do one of these videos, but I looked at the past week and decided actually quite a few tracks would come out that are worth covering, worth talking about. So let's do it. The best and worst tracks of the week roundup. You may have noticed 2017 upgraded the microphone, booyah. If you want to support this segment, then hit up our Amazon Associates link that is linked down there in the description box. If you live in the US, anything you buy off of Amazon, we get kickback from it, does not add to your overall price, and again, helps the segment. Cool? Cool. All right, let's get into these tracks. They're all linked down there in the description box. We're taking them the worst, the tracks that were just kind of, I was indifferent toward, meh, and then the best tracks of the week. Again, like usual, let's rip off the Band-Aid. Let's get into the worst tracks. There were quite a few. This new Flaming Lips song featuring Miley, Cyrus, of all people. They're working with her again. They just keep coming back to the Pain Shack on there. We a Family is the title of the track, and not only is this another underwhelming cut from the Lips because they're sort of continuing to put out these really spacey, blobby, formless, synthetic, really airy and atmospheric psychedelic tracks, but Miley Cyrus's vocals sound so goofy on the song, it's pretty much giving me PTSD, just like flashbacks from her Dead Pets record, one of the worst albums of that year when it had dropped. So didn't want to be reminded of that, and yet I was. So moving on from there, we have Jens Lekman. He has a new track out called What's That Perfume That You Wear? And it is the danciest, silliest, corniest song that this man has ever recorded. I'm not all that excited for the new record if the rest of it sounds like this. I mean, I get that he's trying something a little different here, and I can appreciate that, but I'm not really so sure this style suits him all that well. I'll just put it there, and I'll leave it there. Moving on from there, we have Snakehips and M.O. About as cliche and generic as dance music gets right now. She's merely just plugged into this track that really could have been produced by anybody. So painfully forgettable that I'm going to try to avoid this track like the plague whenever it comes up in the future. Moving on from there, we have a new track from Dirty Projectors, Little Bubble. Dirty Projectors, from the first track that had been released in promotion of this new album that they have coming out in 2017, it was pretty clear that they're taking things in an alternative R&B direction, and this new track kind of confirms that too. And in my opinion, this new track is only slightly better than the previous one, only slightly better, and that's really not saying all that much. It's still one of my least favorite tracks that I've heard this week. David Longstreth, in my opinion, he sounds completely goofy trying to sing in this style, trying to create this kind of music. I mean, not that I think that Dirty Projectors should be coming out with the same album over and over and over and over until the end of time, but it seems like they're kind of ambulance chasing a trend here. I mean, I get that he contributed to that new Solange album, and the moments on the record that I could pick up were, sort of his melodic compositions and everything were really cool, but trying to pull this off just under the umbrella of his own band, it's not working out too good in my opinion. But this is not the worst track of the week in my opinion. That would go to the Dropkick Murphys, the song Paying My Way. Guys, it's time to take rock out of the pub. That's why rock is obviously having some problems right now. It spent too long in the pub, had way too many pints, and now it's just got a beer gut hanging over its pants, and it's just not in good shape. It really needs to hit the gym. It really needs to start eating better. This song is evidence of that because it is the most cliched pub rock I've heard in a while, to the point where it just right away, migraine headache. I can't. Take rock out of the pub. Rock needs to hit up an AA meeting, I guess, after hearing this track. Just clean up your act, rock music. Get your shit together. Let's get into the songs that I wasn't crazy about, but still definitely worth mentioning. We have a new track from the band Code Orange, formerly Code Orange Kids, the song Bleeding in the Blur. On this song, it's not as hard and as heavy as some of the tracks that you may have heard from these guys previously. This song is a bit of an alternative 90s rock throwback. It's not that bad. bad. I'm hopefully going to, I don't know, hear some more impressive cuts on their new album, though. Something that hits a little harder, something that's a little more memorable, something that's a little more distinct, or maybe they'll actually do this sound a little more justice on the deeper cuts. Moving on from there, we have Ondatropica, the awesome sort of collective Latin jazz, Latin music band whose debut album on Soundway Records was one of my favorite albums of the year that it had dropped. Amazing Latin jazz record. And they're going to be coming out with their second full-length album, so I am psyched for that. However, this track over here, not quite as fresh, modern, and punchy and vivid and vibrant as some of the material on the first. Just kind of sounded like, I don't know, a nice funky rhythm, but with some kind of smudgy psychedelic vocals just kind of shouting over the top. Didn't really strike me as that memorable of a track, though the groove was certainly tight. It seemed like there was a good performance, a good energy, good chemistry going on there, but there wasn't much in terms of like composition or vocals on the track that actually like won me over or stuck with me or anything. So I know that they typically drop albums, or their albums usually have a lot of musicians, a lot of input coming from a lot of different places, and a lot of songs. So I'm hoping this is just kind of the one dud among a sea of amazing tracks on this sophomore album. Again, it's not bad. It just didn't like blow me away as much as I was hoping like an introductory track to this album would. Moving on from there, the Shins with the song Name For You. I actually like this song quite a bit, and I've never been a Shins fan, although this track, even though it is one of their sassier and fun tracks that they've ever released, period, it just merely kind of sounds like an old of Montreal song. So, you take what you can get, I guess. Moving on from there, Kehlani with the song Undercover. Not a bad, sort of pop R&B track. The slick acoustic guitars and the beat are actually really nice, really well performed, really beautiful melodies and chords coming from there. The song is well produced instrumentally, but Kehlani still kind of fails to prove to me that she has any real salt as like a singer. I mean, sure, she can kind of do this generic contemporary R&B trap soul sort of thing that a lot of different artists are doing, but she's not really doing it in a way where it's like, oh wow, this is, really striking me as memorable. This is striking me as special. It's just a little run of the mill, especially given that the opening melody of the song, which is one of the best melodies on the song, is borrowed from another track. So I don't know, whatever. It's okay. It's decent. It's okay. And finally, the new Meechy Darko song with production from Eric Ark Elliott, the song Gotta. Meechy Darko, maybe my favorite member of Flatbush Zombies, because his voice is so huge, it's so grimy, there's so much presence to his voice. So hearing him on a solo track, I'm like, hell yeah, let's do that shit. And then all of a sudden, when I listen to this thing, it's just kind of this middle of the road, kind of low key song about, hey, I got a girl here, I got a girl there, I got a girl there, and she does this thing, and I got a girl there, and I got a girl there, and yada yada yada. You kind of get the point. I was just hoping for something a little nastier, I guess, something a little more exciting than what was actually presented. But the song is produced really well. His vocals sound pretty decent. His flow is obviously there. The song is structured well, so can't take too much away from the track. Just was hoping for some fire, and I didn't quite get it. Now let's move into my best tracks of the week. Secret Circle, Satellite, featuring Despot, Secret Circle, rap duo featuring Yucky and Antoine. This is an awesome New York banger, and I hope Despot drops an album this year. Where's the album, Despot? Stop it, dude. Stop not putting out an album and start, putting out an album, please. So it's a good track. A lot of chemistry between these guys, and I'm glad Yucky is linked up with Antoine. Hopefully they drop an album this year under this name, because they actually work pretty well together. Really dark, really grimy, nocturnal, nasty rap music, but bam. Moving on from there, Uniform, Killing of America, one of my favorite Uniform tracks thus far. I mean, so far they've put together some pretty nice industrial and noise rock for the Sacred Bones label. Nothing that's really stopped me in my tracks, with the exception of this track. This is like them kind of turning a new leaf a little bit. This is like some really powerful, heavy, hard stuff, and an awesome guitar solo at the very end of the track, just like really slick shit coming out of the midst of this like hellish soundscape of distorted drums and distorted and pummeling drums and a roaring guitar. So I'm loving this track. Moving on from there, the song Adult, or the duo Adult. They are a Detroit-based electronic music duo, and they have a new album coming out this year. A lot of different vocal features from a lot of different people. Even Michael Gira of Swans fame is on this album. This particular track features Douglas J. McCarthy. The song is titled They're Just Words, and this is like a really weird left field electronic music track. The beat itself is really rigid and some kooky techno shit, but then the vocals on top of it are kind of this weird, wild post-punk, I don't know, just really eccentric. It's difficult to put into words. This is a weird song. This is one of the weirdest songs you're probably going to hear this month. And even though it's kind of hard for me to anticipate a lot because every vocal guest is going to be different on this record, if every track keeps up this kind of general oddity, then it could be a really interesting album. So keep a lookout for this record. It's coming out in March. So yeah, just wanted to shout that out. Definitely one of the oddest and strangest songs I've heard this week. Moving on from there, David Bowie with the song No Plan. Don't want to talk too much about this track because I'm going to review the new EP that it comes from. David Bowie, I believe, is also going to have an album release this year, or rather the Lazarus Project. Like, we're going to be celebrating David Bowie's music or some unreleased stuff, posthumously released stuff. Obviously, this EP is also posthumously released, but you know what I'm saying. Don't want to get too deep into it. Don't want to talk too much about the song. Going to talk about the song and more with the EP review, but check out this song. Great track from Mr. David Bowie. A couple more. The Avalanches have a new track out featuring Freddie Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs is back. I don't know if this is newly recorded or anything like that. It could have happened before that whole prison debacle over in Europe or after, I'm not really sure. But the song is fantastic, so good. I actually wish it ended up on the Avalanches album that they recently had released, because it sort of has that kind of psychedelic, jazzy, and I don't know, kind of muffled and old school kind of Stone's Throw production quality at some points on it. You know, if you really loved Freddie Gibbs' collaboration with Madlib on Pinata, there's a lot to like on this track. But there are moments where it kind of turns into that whole 60s psych pop aesthetic, like many songs on the latest Avalanches album do, which is actually a pretty nice transition. So it's pretty cool to sort of hear them, you know, working in that dirty Stone's Throw jazz rap sound with some of the more psychedelic sounds from that Wildflower record, and they actually pair really well. And finally, the last track that I want to mention is this new Yucky Duster song, The Ropes. These guys continue to put out some really like class and very funny and personality-driven indie rock and pop. Infinity Cat Records has really nailed it on this one. You know, they sign a lot of bands. A lot of them are hit or miss for me. And this is definitely a hit. For me, from what I've heard so far. Really excited to give a listen to this entire album. Give a listen to these guys. They have a funny sense of humor, a lot of personality, very tuneful vocals as well, but the production and the guitars and the drums, the performances, the playing, sort of has this admirable, I guess, kind of amateurishness to it that's really cool, really fun. I'm going to stop jiggling my microphone over here because that's probably not good. And that is the weekly track roundup, best and worst tracks of the week. Thank you for watching. Hope you got some good recommendations out of this thing, and I hope everyone is doing well. Again, everything down there in the description, along with that Amazon Associates link. Hit that up too, and I will see you guys in the next video forever.